No Chinese translator? Robert Hartwell's voice echoed through the glass-walled boardroom. The CEO, 58, silver-haired, stared at his phone in disbelief. Typhoon in Hong Kong. All flights grounded. His head of operations, Karen, looked grim. The agency has no backup available. Hartwell sank into his chair. The Chen delegation arrives in 35 minutes. $47 million. 18 months of negotiations. His voice dropped to a whisper. Without a translator, this deal is dead. 12 executives sat frozen. Nobody spoke Mandarin. Nobody had a solution. The boardroom door opened. A black woman in a housekeeping uniform pushed her cart inside. Jasmine Williams, 34, headed quietly toward the coffee station. A junior executive snapped his fingers at her. Not now. Can't you see we're busy? Come back later. Jasmine stopped. Her eyes swept across the panic-stricken faces. Then she quietly backed out. They never looked at her. Just the uniform. But what she knew could save them. 30 minutes later, Jasmine was cleaning the executive washroom 3 doors down. The door stood slightly open. She could hear everything. Voices overlapped. Frantic. Desperate. We're dead without this contract. Chen's people are already in the car from the airport. Somebody call every translation service in the city. I tried. Nobody is available on this short notice. Jasmine kept wiping the mirror. Her reflection stared back. Here's what those executives didn't know. Hartwell and Associates employed 200 people. Architectural firm. Mid-sized. This Shenzhen Smart City project was everything. $47 million over 5 years. It represented 60% of their annual revenue. Without it, layoffs were inevitable. Massive ones. Jasmine had worked night shift housekeeping for 3 years. She knew which offices stayed lit late. She knew who was worried about mortgages. She knew the receptionist had twins in daycare. She knew what this deal meant. Through the cracked door, she heard Hartwell's voice again. Not angry this time. Afraid. I built this company for 23 years. I can't let everyone down because of a damn typhoon. Jasmine's hand stopped on the sink. She had a choice. Stay invisible like always. Keep her head down. Finish her shift. Go home. Or step through that door into a room that had never seen her as anything but furniture. Her heart hammered. Her hands shook slightly. Then she thought about the receptionist's twins, the night security guard saving for his daughter's wedding, the junior architect who just bought his first house. She dried her hands, smoothed her uniform, walked to the boardroom. 3 soft knocks. The voices inside stopped. Jasmine pushed the door open, wheeled her cart in. 12 faces turned toward her. Confusion. Irritation. Not now, please. An executive waved her away. We're in the middle of something. Jasmine's voice came out quiet but steady. Excuse me, Mr. Hartwell. Hartwell looked up. He didn't recognize her. I couldn't help overhearing. She gripped the cart handle. About the translator problem. Complete silence. She took a breath. I speak Mandarin. Fluently. If that would help. The air in the room froze. 12 people stared at the woman in the housekeeping uniform who'd just said the impossible. What happened in the next 60 seconds would change 200 lives. Karen, the head of operations, spoke first. Her voice dripped with skepticism. I'm sorry, but where exactly would you have learned Mandarin? A junior partner named Blake actually laughed. A short, sharp sound. He whispered to the woman next to him. Is this a joke? Jasmine felt heat rise to her cheeks, but she kept her voice level. I'm self-taught, ma'am. I've been studying for 18 years. Blake leaned back in his chair, crossed his arms. Self-taught, right. So you know how to order takeout? 2 other executives smirked, but Hartwell raised his hand. Silence fell. He studied Jasmine's face, really looked at her, maybe for the first time in 3 years. "What's your name?" "Jasmine Williams, sir. I'm the night housekeeping supervisor." Hartwell's expression shifted. Something like shame crossed his features. 3 years you've worked here?" "Yes, sir." "And I've never once asked your name." He said it quietly, to himself more than her. Then louder. "Are you actually fluent?" Jasmine nodded. "I am. I can also interpret in Cantonese if needed. Your clients are from Guangdong province. I noticed the company name in your materials uses traditional characters specific to that region." The room went still. Blake's smirk disappeared. Hartwell leaned forward. "How do you know which province they're from?" Jasmine hesitated. "I clean your office, Mr. Hartwell. I've cleaned this boardroom after every planning meeting for 6 months. I've read the presentations on the screen, the proposals on the table. I'm sorry if that was inappropriate." An executive near the window shook his head in disbelief. Karen wasn't convinced. Can she handle technical terminology? Construction specifications? Legal language? This isn't conversational Chinese. Hartwell grabbed a document from the table. The draft contract, 40 pages thick. Page 14, the sustainability clause. Read it, in Mandarin. Every eye fixed on Jasmine. She took the document, found page 14, read the Chinese text aloud. The words flowed, smooth, natural, perfect pronunciation, technical terms, legal precision, no hesitation. When she finished, the room was silent. Then she looked up. "There's an error in the translation here, actually." Hartwell blinked. "What?" Jasmine pointed to a specific character. "This word means recycled materials, but the context requires renewable materials. The Chen Group specifically requested renewable in their original specifications. This character mistake could void the entire sustainability section of the agreement." Blake's mouth fell open. Karen stood up, walked over, looked at the document. Her face went pale. "She's right. Oh my God, she's right." Hartwell stared at Jasmine. "You're telling me our professional translation service made an error that could have killed this deal?" "Yes, sir. And there are 2 smaller inconsistencies on page 22 and page 38. The temperature in the room shifted. These weren't just executives looking at a housekeeper anymore. They were drowning people looking at a life raft. Hartwell's voice was quiet, almost reverent. "Who are you?" Jasmine didn't know how to answer that. Karen recovered first. Professional mode. "Mr. Hartwell, the Chen delegation will be here in 20 minutes. We need to make a decision." Hartwell never took his eyes off Jasmine. "Can you do this? Full business interpretation? High stakes?" Jasmine's hands trembled slightly. She gripped the document tighter to hide it. "I can." "No pressure, but 200 jobs depend on it." "I understand." Hartwell stood, extended his hand across the table. Jasmine stared at it. In 3 years, no executive had ever shaken her hand. She reached out. Their hands met, firm grip, equal pressure. "Thank you, Jasmine. Truly," Blake muttered under his breath. "This is insane." Hartwell's head snapped toward him. "Blake, one more word and you're out of this room. Permanently." Blake's face reddened. He went silent. Karen pulled out a chair at the conference table. "Jasmine, please sit." For the first time in 3 years, Jasmine Williams sat at the table instead of cleaning around it. But now everyone wanted to know the same thing. How does someone with her skills end up pushing a cleaning cart? And what else had they missed by never bothering to look? 20 minutes until they arrive." Karen glanced at her watch. "Jasmine, there's coffee. Help yourself." The reversal wasn't lost on anyone. The woman who usually poured coffee was being offered it. Jasmine sat stiffly, uncomfortable in the leather chair. Hartwell sat across from her. His voice was gentle. How does someone with your skills end up working nights in housekeeping? The question everyone wanted to ask but didn't know how. Jasmine looked down at her hands. It's a long story, sir. We have 18 minutes. She smiled slightly, then began. I grew up in Detroit. My mother cleaned hotels. My father worked the auto plants until 2008. The crash took everything. Her voice stayed steady. Matter of fact. When I was 16, I read that China was becoming an economic superpower. I thought if I learned Mandarin, I'd be ready for opportunities. So I taught myself. Library computers, YouTube videos, free podcasts. By college, I was fluent. Hartwell leaned forward. Where'd you go to school? Wayne State. Full scholarship. Linguistics major. 3.9 GPA. I added Cantonese, Spanish, and French by graduation. Blake's head snapped up. 3.9. That was higher than his. Karen asked the obvious question. So what happened? Jasmine's voice softened. My mother got sick. Stage 3 cancer. No insurance. The room went quiet. I came home. Took night jobs, flexible hours, immediate pay. I could be at the hospital during the day, translate her medical documents, hold her hand during chemo. She paused, swallowed hard. She fought for 2 years. She was so strong, but she didn't make it. The debt was $240,000. Someone gasped. Jasmine continued. So I kept the night jobs, sent money to my younger brother. He's pre-med, 3rd year at Johns Hopkins. Anzen. He's going to be a surgeon. Her voice filled with quiet pride. He doesn't know I gave up my graduate school acceptance to pay for his undergraduate degree. Columbia had offered me a full ride for international relations. Hartwell's eyes glistened. Your brother? He knows what you sacrificed? No, sir, and I'd appreciate it if it stayed that way. He thinks I just prefer night work. She'd given up her dream so her brother could chase his. Now, for 2 hours, she'd get to use everything she'd sacrificed. The question was simple. Would anyone remember her tomorrow? Or would she go back to being invisible the moment the Chen delegation left? The elevator chimed. Expensive shoe leather on marble. 4 people emerged into the lobby. Mr. Chen, late 50s, led the group. CEO of Chen Development Group. 2 architects flanked him. A lawyer brought up the rear. They carried gifts, ornate tea tins, traditional courtesy. The receptionist rushed to greet them. Welcome to Hartwell and Associates. Please, this way. In the boardroom, Jasmine stood near Hartwell, still in her uniform. No time to change. Hartwell had insisted. You are who you are. No apologies. But Jasmine felt every thread of that polyester fabric, every stain from 3 years of cleaning. The delegation entered. Chen's eyes swept the room, landed on Hartwell, then moved to the others, stopped on Jasmine. Confusion flickered across his face. He spoke in Mandarin to his team. Where is their translator? Jasmine responded immediately. Same language. Flawless Beijing accent. Good morning, Mr. Chen. I am Jasmine Williams. I'll be facilitating our conversation today. Welcome to Hartwell and Associates. Chen froze mid-step. His entire delegation stopped. 4 faces registered pure shock. Chen studied her for a long moment, then spoke again in Mandarin. Faster. Testing. Your accent is northern. Beijing standard? Self-taught, actually, sir. But I focused on Beijing pronunciation for business contexts. I understand your team is from Guangzhou. If you prefer Cantonese, I'm comfortable with that as well. Chen's eyebrows rose. He switched languages without warning. Rapid-fire Cantonese, highly technical, architectural terminology, construction specifications, building codes. Jasmine matched him without missing a beat, back and forth. A verbal dance. Chen pushed harder, more complex phrases, industry jargon, regional expressions. Jasmine never stumbled. The two architects exchanged glances, impressed. Chen finally switched to English. His accent was thick but clear. Miss Williams, where did you train? Mostly self-study, sir. Library resources and consistent practice over 18 years. 18 years. Chen nodded slowly. What is your position here? The dangerous question. The room held its breath. The truth could humiliate her, could insult them. They might feel mocked, disrespected. Hartwell stepped in smoothly. Jasmine is an essential member of our team. We're very fortunate to have her expertise today. Not a lie. Not quite the whole truth, but protective. Chen studied them both. His eyes moved from Hartwell to Jasmine and back. Something unspoken passed between them. Understanding. Respect. He nodded once, turned to his team, spoke in Mandarin. She is very good. Better than the agency translator they originally hired. Much better. Jasmine heard every word. She chose not to translate it back to the room. A show of discretion. Professional courtesy. Chen noticed. A small smile played at his lips. He switched to English. Addressed the room. Shall we begin? Everyone took their seats. Jasmine sat beside Hartwell, at the head of the table. The meeting started. Presentations, technical discussions, complex negotiations. Jasmine interpreted everything, seamlessly, both directions, never asking for repetition, never stumbling over terminology. 45 minutes in, she'd proven herself 10 times over. But not everyone was pleased. Karen kept interrupting. Small comments. Tiny undermining remarks. Jasmine, make sure you're getting the technical specifications exactly right. Maybe we should have the backup service on standby, just in case, Blake whispered to a colleague. Not quietly enough. This is insane. We're betting $47 million on the cleaning lady? The first test was passing, but the real challenge was just beginning, because talent without institutional support is just a voice in the wilderness. And some people didn't want that voice to be heard. The discussion moved to sustainability requirements. Chen's team had specific demands: materials, certifications, environmental standards. Hartwell's architects presented their proposals. Chen listened. His face remained neutral. But Jasmine could read the micro-expressions, the slight tightening around his eyes, the way his attorney took notes with increasing speed. They weren't satisfied. Chen spoke in Mandarin. His tone shifted, frustration creeping in. They don't fully understand our requirements. This is taking too long. We may need to reconsider. Before Jasmine could translate, Karen jumped in. What did he say? Jasmine kept her voice professional. He has concerns about whether we can meet their sustainability specifications. Karen nodded quickly. Tell him we'll do our absolute best. We're committed to meeting his standards. Jasmine paused, didn't translate. Karen's voice sharpened. Did you hear me? Tell him that. The room waited. Jasmine made a choice. She turned to Hartwell directly. Not Karen. Mr. Hartwell, may I make a suggestion? Karen's face flushed. Excuse me, I just gave you specific instructions. Hartwell held up one hand. Let her speak. Jasmine took a breath. 3 months ago, you met with Anderson Renewables. They're a bamboo composite supplier. They have a facility in Portland and a manufacturing partnership with a factory in Hangzhou, China. Hartwell's eyes widened. How do you know about that meeting? I saw the catalog on your bookshelf, sir. When I was dusting, The materials match exactly what Mr. Chen is describing. You could dual source, local production for U.S. standards, the Chinese facility for their specific requirements. It would reduce shipping costs by approximately 40%. Complete silence. Blake stood up. His chair scraped loudly against the floor. "This is ridiculous." His voice was loud, aggressive. "She's a housekeeper, not a project manager. We're going to take business advice from someone who mops floors?" Several people shifted uncomfortably. Jasmine's hands clenched in her lap, but she kept her face neutral. Hartwell's voice cut through the room like ice. "Blake." One word, but the temperature dropped 20 degrees. "One more word and you're out of this room, and possibly out of this company." Blake's mouth opened, closed. He sat down slowly. Hartwell turned back to Jasmine. His voice was gentle now. "You have a good memory." "Yes, sir. I remember the catalog showed composite panels, structural beams, decorative elements, all certified for international green building standards." Hartwell looked at his lead architect. "Is this viable?" The architect pulled out his laptop, typed quickly. His eyes went wide. "Anderson Renewables, yes, their Hangzhou facility. They've worked on 3 major projects in China, LEED Platinum certified, and she's right about the cost savings." He looked at Jasmine with something like awe. Hartwell leaned back. "Tell Mr. Chen about the Anderson partnership, and tell him it was your idea. Use your name." Jasmine hesitated. "Sir?" "You solved a problem we've been stuck on for weeks. Take credit." She turned to Chen, spoke in Mandarin, explained the dual sourcing solution, the facilities, the certifications, the cost benefits. She ended with, "This approach was suggested by our team after reviewing your specific requirements." Chen's face transformed. He leaned forward, started asking detailed questions. Jasmine answered everything. Technical specifications she'd memorized from a catalog she'd glanced at while dusting. Chen spoke in Mandarin to his team. "This woman understands more than their entire architectural department." Jasmine translated softly. "Mr. Chen is very impressed with the creative solution." Hartwell caught the understatement. "What did he actually say, Jasmine?" She smiled slightly. "He's enthusiastic, sir. Very enthusiastic." The meeting shifted. Chen was engaged now. Excited. The deal was coming back to life, and everyone in that room knew who'd saved it. The woman they'd never bothered to see. 90 minutes into the meeting, momentum was building. Chen seemed pleased. His architects were taking detailed notes. The partnership was solidifying. Then Chen reached into his briefcase, pulled out a tablet. "We have prepared something special. A video message from our board of directors in Shenzhen. It addresses the cultural integration philosophy of this project." He set the tablet on the table, turned it so everyone could see. "This is time-sensitive. We need your response today to move forward." Karen leaned over to Hartwell, whispered, "Should we record it? Send it out for translation?" Chen overheard. "The message contains confidential strategic information. It cannot leave this room." All eyes turned to Jasmine. Hartwell's voice was quiet. "Can you interpret simultaneously? While it plays?" Jasmine's heart pounded. Simultaneous interpretation was the hardest form. No pause button, no rewind. Just real-time translation while listening and speaking at once. "Yes, sir. I can do that." Chen pressed play. The video began. A boardroom in Shenzhen. 5 executives. Speaking in rapid Mandarin, Jasmine started interpreting. Her voice was steady, clear. She listened with one part of her brain, translated with another, never stumbling, never falling behind. The content was complex. Architectural theory blending traditional Chinese spatial design with modern smart city technology. Financial projections across 10-year horizons. cultural philosophy about harmony between nature and construction, legal requirements for international partnerships, 8 minutes of dense, technical material. Jasmine never took notes, never asked them to pause, never hesitated. She switched seamlessly between formal and technical registers, from philosophical concepts to concrete specifications. Her vocabulary was precise. Her pacing was perfect. The room sat transfixed. Chen's architects stopped watching the screen. They watched Jasmine instead. Blake's expression slowly transformed from skepticism to something like wonder. Karen's administrative assistant quietly pulled out her phone, started recording. She sensed she was witnessing something remarkable. The video ended. 7 seconds of absolute silence. Then Chen began clapping. Slow, deliberate. His hands came together with sharp cracks that echoed in the quiet room. His entire team joined him. Standing ovation. One by one, the Hartwell executives stood too, applauding. Jasmine's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them back, tried to maintain composure, but her hands shook. Chen stood, walked around the table, stopped directly in front of her. He spoke in English. Formal. Clear. Miss Williams, in China we have a saying, gold will shine wherever it is placed. You are gold. Jasmine's voice caught. Thank you, Mr. Chen. That's very kind. Chen turned to Hartwell. His tone shifted, became businesslike. Mr. Hartwell, I do not know what position Miss Williams holds in your company, but I know this. We will only proceed with this partnership if she is the official liaison, not just a translator, a project liaison, someone with authority. We trust her completely. Hartwell didn't hesitate. Done. Jasmine is our official liaison for this partnership. Karen opened her mouth. Mr. Hartwell, shouldn't we discuss the organizational structure before? Hartwell's voice was firm. It's done, Karen. Chen smiled, extended his hand to Jasmine, a formal handshake between equals. I look forward to working with you, Miss Williams. The honor is mine, Mr. Chen. In 2 hours, Jasmine Williams had gone from invisible to indispensable. From the woman they wouldn't let near the coffee station to the woman a major international corporation insisted on working with. But the real transformation wasn't her title. It was what happened when someone finally looked past the uniform and saw the person underneath. The Chen delegation left 2 hours later. The meeting had been a complete success. Contracts would be finalized within the week. Everyone filed out of the boardroom, exhausted but elated. Hartwell touched Jasmine's arm gently. Can you stay for a moment? Please. They walked to his corner office, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Jasmine had cleaned this room 1,000 times, vacuumed the carpet, dusted the bookshelves, wiped down that massive desk. She'd never sat in it. Hartwell gestured to a chair, not the lower guest chairs near the door, the one directly across from his desk, equal level. Please, sit. Jasmine sat carefully. The leather was soft, expensive. Hartwell sat across from her, folded his hands. For a long moment he just looked at her. Jasmine, I need to apologize. Sir, you don't need to. Yes, I do. His voice was firm. 3 years. You've worked here for 3 years. I've passed you in the hallway. You've cleaned my office, made my coffee, and I never once asked your name. Not really, not until today. His eyes were red. I saw the uniform and stopped looking. That's on me. That's my failure. Jasmine's throat tightened. Hartwell leaned forward. What I'm about to offer you isn't charity. It's not even fairness. It's basic sanity for this company. He pulled out a folder, opened it. Effective immediately. Position: Director of International Relations and Cultural Consulting. Salary: $95,000 annually with full benefits. Your role: Lead all Chinese partnership communications. Cultural advisor. Project coordinator. You report directly to me. Jasmine's breath caught. Hartwell continued. The company will fund a graduate degree if you want one. Any program you choose. Full tuition. Mr. Hartwell, I don't have formal credentials for this kind of... You corrected our legal documents and saved us from a contract violation. You solved a sourcing problem we'd been stuck on for weeks. You performed simultaneous interpretation of highly technical material that most professional translators would struggle with. Tell me what credential is more valuable than that. Jasmine's hands trembled. My brother, his tuition at Johns Hopkins. Hartwell slid an envelope across the desk. Signing bonus, enough to cover his remaining 2 years. Non-negotiable. Jasmine picked up the envelope, opened it, saw the number. She broke down, quietly. Tears streamed down her face, professional composure finally cracking. Hartwell's voice was gentle. Jasmine, you saved us today. But more than that, you reminded me why I started this company 23 years ago. To build things that matter with people who care. I'd forgotten to look for those people everywhere, not just in the expected places. He stood, extended his hand across the desk. Jasmine wiped her eyes, stood, reached out. Their hands met. Firm grip, equal pressure. A handshake between colleagues. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for being brave enough to knock on that door. 3 years ago, an executive had waved her away from this very office. She'd never be waved away again. 1 week later, company cafeteria, lunch hour. Jasmine stood at the coffee station, professional attire now, navy blazer, fitted pants. She looked different, carried herself differently, but some things hadn't changed. An elderly man approached nervously. Miguel Santos, 67, facilities maintenance for 20 years, gray hair, weathered hands. Miss Williams? His voice was hesitant. May I speak with you? Jasmine turned, smiled warmly. Miguel, of course. Please call me Jasmine. They'd crossed paths hundreds of times on night shifts. She'd always greeted him, always asked about his family, one of the few people who had. I heard what happened, with the Chinese meeting. Jasmine gestured to a table. They sat. News travels fast. Miguel pulled out his phone. His hands shook slightly. My daughter, Rosa. She's 19, very smart girl. But she works at Target. Stocking shelves. He showed Jasmine a photo. A young woman with bright eyes. Miguel's smile. She taught herself to code. Python, Java, these computer languages I don't understand. But she applies to tech jobs and never hears back. He scrolled to a resume on his phone, handed it to Jasmine. She studied it carefully. The address jumped out immediately. Wrong zip code. Wrong neighborhood. She uses our home address, Miguel said quietly. I think that's why they don't call. Jasmine's chest tightened. Systemic barriers. Invisible walls. She knew them well. Miguel, does she have a portfolio? Examples of her work? She built a whole app for my wife's church. Tracks donations, sends receipts. Very professional. Jasmine pulled out her phone. Here's what we're going to do. She texted Hartwell directly. Something she could do now. Know anyone in tech hiring? Have a strong candidate to recommend. Hartwell responded in 30 seconds. 2 names, 2 email addresses. Jasmine showed Miguel. Have Rosa send her portfolio to these contacts. Jasmine Williams from Hartwell and Associates referred her. And Miguel? She looked him in the eye. Tell her to get a P.O. box for her address. It's not right that she has to. But until we fix the system, we work around it. Miguel's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. Thank you so much. She did the work, Miguel. She built the skills. I'm just opening a door someone opened for me. Miguel stood, shook her hand with both of his, walked away lighter than he'd arrived. Jasmine sipped her coffee, the coffee she used to serve. The cafeteria buzzed with normal conversation, lunch orders, weekend plans, office gossip. Everything looked the same, but everything had changed, because success isn't real unless you bring people with you, and Jasmine understood that better than anyone. 3 months later, Shenzhen, China, International Convention Center. The building gleamed like a crystal in the afternoon sun. Jasmine stood backstage, professional suit, hair pulled back, credentials hanging from her neck. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. The Chen partnership had exceeded all expectations. Phase 1 was complete ahead of schedule, under budget. Both sides were thrilled, but now came Phase 2, the public presentation. Shenzhen City Hall officials, American consulate representatives, international media, 400 people in the audience, live streamed to thousands more. If successful, 2 more contracts, $200 million combined, jobs for years. If she failed, everything unraveled. Back in the United States, it was midnight. The entire Hartwell team was awake, watching the live stream from the office. Pizza boxes and coffee cups scattered across the conference table. Jasmine peeked through the curtain. Rows and rows of seats, cameras on tripods, boom microphones, professional lighting rigs. Her phone buzzed. A text from her brother. "Good luck, sis. You're going to crush it. Mom would be so proud." She blinked back tears. Couldn't ruin her makeup now. A Chinese official rushed past, speaking rapidly into his phone. She caught fragments of Mandarin. Her stomach dropped. He'd changed his speech, the keynote, completely rewritten, 20 minutes ago. The official ended his call, spoke to his assistant in Mandarin. "The new version addresses current trade tensions, more diplomatic weight, more careful language." Jasmine's heart raced. She'd spent a week translating the original speech, memorizing technical terms, political phrases, historical references, all useless now. Hartwell appeared beside her. He'd flown in yesterday for moral support. "What's wrong? You look pale." Jasmine's voice shook. "The speech changed. The one I prepared all week. He's using a completely different one." "Can you handle it?" "I don't know. This is political language, trade policy, international relations. I've never interpreted this level of—" Hartwell put his hand on her shoulder, gentle but firm. "Jasmine, why are you here?" She looked at him. "Because you believed in me." "No." His voice was quiet. "Because you're exceptional. I just had the good sense to finally notice. Now prove it to yourself." The stage manager called out, "5 minutes!" Jasmine closed her eyes, took 3 deep breaths. When she opened them, the fear was still there. But so was something else. 18 years of preparation. Every YouTube video, every library session, every late night with headphones and pronunciation guides. This was what it had all been for. She walked onto the stage. The lights were blinding. Hot. She found her position. A small podium to the side, headset microphone, glass of water. The audience settled. Conversations faded to whispers. Then silence. The Chinese official took the main podium. Distinguished. Gray hair. Expensive suit. He represented the Shenzhen municipal government. He began speaking. Rapid Mandarin. Formal register. Political nuance. Jasmine started interpreting. The first 30 seconds were panic. Her mind raced, trying to catch terminology. Identify context. The next 30 seconds, muscle memory kicked in. Her training took over. After that, she wasn't thinking anymore. She was flowing. Complex economic theory, trade relationships, historical context dating back to the Nixon administration, cultural bridges between East and West, smart city technology as a diplomatic tool. Jasmine's voice remained steady. clear. She rendered everything with precision. The audience was rapt. Some watched the official. Some watched her. Both performances are equally compelling. Then it happened. 15 minutes in, the official made a joke. A complex pun in Chinese. Pun in about architecture and diplomacy. Completely untranslatable, literally. The Chinese half of the audience laughed, delighted. The American half looked confused, lost. Jasmine had 3 seconds to decide. She didn't translate the words. She translated the meaning. The minister just compared diplomatic negotiations to building a house. He said both require a strong foundation and the wisdom to know when to be flexible and when to stand firm. She paused, smiled slightly. He also suggested Americans prefer open floor plans, while Chinese prefer defined spaces. And this project proves we can design something beautiful together. The American side erupted in laughter. They got it, understood the warmth behind it. The official paused mid-speech, looked at Jasmine. Had she just improved his joke? He smiled, nodded once. A gesture of respect, continued speaking. The rest of the speech flowed flawlessly. 45 minutes of simultaneous interpretation, political complexity, technical precision, emotional resonance. Not a single missed beat. When the official finished, he stepped back from the podium. Silence, then applause, starting slow, building. People stood, both sides, Chinese and American together, standing ovation for both of them. The official walked across the stage, in front of everyone, cameras flashing, video rolling. He stopped in front of Jasmine, spoke in Mandarin, voice amplified by the microphone. You did not just translate my words, you translated my heart. You built a bridge between our peoples. This is the highest skill of communication. He bowed, formally, deeply, a powerful government official, bowing to her, publicly. Jasmine bowed back. Proper depth, proper form. Respect returned. The applause intensified. Backstage afterward, international media swarmed. Bloomberg, CNN, South China Morning Post, BBC. Everyone wanted interviews. Who is this woman? Where did she train? How did Hartwell find her? In the United States, the conference room exploded in celebration. Hartwell's team jumped up, hugging, cheering. Some were crying. Blake sat quietly, watching the replay on the screen. He turned to Karen. We could have lost her. She could be working for any firm in the world now. Karen's voice was soft, chastened. I know. I almost got her fired that first day. We both did. Blake looked at the screen. Jasmine is surrounded by reporters, confident, poised, brilliant. I judged her in 3 seconds, based on a uniform. Karen nodded slowly. We all did. On the screen, Jasmine was answering questions. Gracious, humble, giving credit to the team. But everyone knew the truth. She'd just delivered a masterclass in communication, cultural intelligence, professional excellence. The woman they'd almost dismissed had become the most valuable person in the room. And the world was watching. 1 week after returning from China, Hartwell called an all-hands meeting. Every employee, all 200 people. First time in company history. The main floor conference space was packed. People stood along the walls. Architects, engineers, accountants, HR staff, receptionists, IT support, maintenance crew, everyone. Jasmine sat in the 3rd row. Still felt strange being in the audience instead of cleaning up after meetings. Hartwell took the podium. The room quieted. 3 months ago, we almost lost everything. This company, your jobs, 23 years of work. His voice was steady, serious. Today, We've secured partnerships worth $247 million over the next 5 years. We're hiring 50 new positions. Nobody will be laid off. Not now. Not ever if I can help it. Applause rippled through the room. Hartwell raised his hand. But I didn't call this meeting to talk about money. The room went quiet again. I called it to talk about what I almost missed. Who I almost missed. He gestured toward Jasmine. Jasmine Williams, would you come up here, please? Jasmine's heart jumped. She hadn't known this was happening. She stood, walked to the stage on shaking legs, 200 faces watching. Hartwell's voice softened. 3 years ago, Jasmine started working here. Night shift, housekeeping. I never introduced myself, never asked about her day, never wondered if there was more to her story. He paused. Let that sink in. I assumed, we all did. We saw the uniform and stopped looking. Uncomfortable shifting in the audience. People avoid eye contact. Hartwell turned to Jasmine. Will you tell them? How did you learn Mandarin? Jasmine took the microphone. Her voice came out quieter than intended. Library computers, YouTube videos, free online resources. I wanted to be ready for opportunities. She paused. I didn't realize the opportunity was already here, just waiting for someone to see it. Hartwell nodded. The Chen Group deal succeeded because Jasmine didn't just translate words. She understood the context, caught errors in our legal documents, built relationships, provided strategic insights. She was better than the $15,000 professional translator we'd planned to hire. He pulled out a wooden plaque, beautifully crafted, engraved brass plate. Hartwell and Associates Core Value Award for excellence hidden in plain sight, presented to Jasmine Williams, for reminding us that talent doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes we have to stop and listen. He handed it to her. Their hands touched briefly. Applause filled the room, but Hartwell wasn't finished. There's something else. He pulled out a folder. Effective today, we're launching the Jasmine Williams Fellowship Program. Jasmine's hand went to her mouth. She hadn't known about this. Every year we'll sponsor 5 people from any company, any industry. Housekeeping, facilities, food service, any support role. Full funding to develop their hidden skills. Education, training, certifications. No strings attached. Jasmine's eyes filled with tears. Hartwell's voice grew thick with emotion. Because if we missed you, how many others are we missing? The room erupted. Longer applause. Louder. People stood. Then Miguel raised his hand from the back. I want to say something. Hartwell nodded. Please. Miguel walked to the front. Nervous. He wasn't used to public speaking. My daughter Rosa. Because of Miss Jasmine, she got an interview at a tech company. She starts next month. Software developer. Good salary, benefits. Because someone saw her. His voice cracked. Because someone cared enough to look. He turned to Jasmine. Thank you. You changed my family's life. Another hand went up, then another. A night security guard stood. I'm a published poet. 3 collections. Nobody here knew because nobody asked. The receptionist. I'm a classically trained cellist. Played with the Detroit Symphony before budget cuts. An IT support guy. I speak 7 languages fluently. I took this job because I needed health insurance for my daughter. A woman from accounting. I have a PhD in molecular biology. Couldn't find an academic position. Took what was available. One after another. Stories poured out. Hidden brilliance. Everywhere. Jasmine stood at the front, crying openly now. So many people, so much talent. All invisible until this moment. Hartwell's voice was gentle. Every organization has Jasmines. People are brilliant in ways nobody thinks to ask about. Talent isn't rare. Seeing it is. The screen behind them lit up. Video call connecting. Mr. Chen appeared, speaking from Shenzhen. Mr. Hartwell, Miss Williams. In China, we honor teachers above all professions. Jasmine Williams taught us that true partnership means seeing your partner completely, as a whole person. Chen's face was serious, formal. Hartwell and Associates is now our most trusted American partner. Not because of contracts, because of character. Jasmine's character, and Mr. Hartwell's wisdom in recognizing it. He bowed slightly to the camera. We look forward to many years of collaboration. The screen went dark. Hartwell reached into his jacket pocket, pulled out an envelope. One more thing. He handed it to Jasmine. Open it. Inside were business cards, thick cardstock, embossed lettering. Jasmine Williams, Director of International Relations, Hartwell and Associates. And underneath, in elegant Chinese characters, her name and title in Mandarin. Jasmine ran her fingers over the raised letters. Her name. In 2 languages. 3 months ago, executives had waved her away from the coffee station. Now her name was printed in gold. She looked up at Hartwell, couldn't find words. He smiled gently. You earned every letter on that card. Jasmine turned to face the audience. 200 people, all watching, many crying. I never stopped believing I had value, she said softly. I just didn't know if anyone else would see it. Her voice grew stronger. Thank you for looking. Thank you for seeing me. And please, look around. See each other. Really see. Because everyone in this room has a story. Everyone has value. The applause started again. But different this time. Not polite professional clapping. Real. Sustained. Emotional. It lasted 47 seconds. Some people wiped their eyes. Some looked uncomfortable, confronting their own assumptions. Some looked inspired. All of them were changed, because they'd just witnessed what happens when talent meets opportunity, when barriers fall, when someone brave enough knocks on a closed door, and when someone kind enough opens it. The meeting ended. People filed out slowly. Many stopped to hug Jasmine, shake her hand, share their own stories, the invisible becoming visible, one conversation at a time. 6 months later, Jasmine led a team of 5 translators now, negotiated 3 more international partnerships, spoke at business schools about invisible talent and systemic barriers. Her brother graduated medical school. She sat in the front row, cried through the entire ceremony. He finally knew the truth about what she'd sacrificed. He'd called her sobbing. You gave up Columbia for me. I'd do it again, she'd told him, 1,000 times. The fellowship program had supported 23 people in its first year. A janitor now studying mechanical engineering, a cafeteria worker learning graphic design, a parking attendant getting his teaching certificate. Company culture had completely transformed. Turnover in support roles dropped 60%. Applications to work at Hartwell increased 400%. See the whole person was written into the mission statement now. But the real changes weren't in the numbers, they were in the moments. Jasmine walked through headquarters on a Tuesday afternoon. Professional attire, confident stride. She belonged here now. She passed a young black woman in a housekeeping uniform, pushing a cart, emptying trash bins. Jasmine stopped. She always stopped. Hi there. I don't think we've met. I'm Jasmine. The young woman looked up, surprised. I know who you are. Everyone does. What's your name? Destiny. Jasmine smiled. That's a powerful name. Tell me, Destiny, what are you passionate about? Outside of work? Destiny hesitated, looked around like it might be a trick. I write. Poetry. Sometimes spoken word. At open mics. Would you email me some of your work? I'd love to read it. Destiny's eyes widened. Really? Really. You never know where it might lead. Destiny nodded slowly, a small smile appearing. Okay, Thank you, Miss Williams. Just Jasmine. She touched Destiny's arm gently. And thank you for keeping this place running. It matters. Destiny walked away different, lighter, seen. Jasmine remembered what invisible felt like, so she made sure nobody stayed invisible around her. The cycle continued, one person at a time. Here's the truth that nobody tells you about success. It's not real unless you bring people with you. So here's my question for you. Who have you stopped seeing? The person who cleans your office building? The barista who makes your morning coffee? The security guard who nods good morning? What if they speak 4 languages? What if they're a brilliant artist? What if they're one conversation away from changing everything? You don't need to offer them a job. Just learn their name. Ask one real question. See them. Because talent isn't rare. Right now, people with PhDs are driving for rideshare companies. Artists are stocking shelves at grocery stores. Linguists are cleaning hotel rooms. Engineers are delivering food. The talent is there. It's everywhere. The question isn't where the talent is. The question is, why aren't we looking? This week, I challenge you to do something simple. Learn the name of one person you see regularly but have never really met. Ask them one thing about their story. One genuine question. You might be surprised. They might be brilliant. Leave a comment below. Who's one invisible person in your life you're going to actually see this week? Share their name. Tell us what you learned. If you're a business leader, start your own fellowship program. You don't need millions. Start with one person, one opportunity. Watch what happens. If you're in human resources, interview your support staff about their skills and dreams. You might already employ your next vice president. If you're an educator, ask students about their parents' jobs. Then ask what their parents are passionate about. Watch their faces change when someone finally asks. The Jasmine Williams Fellowship has a website now. Resources for companies wanting to start similar programs. Applications for people who need support developing their hidden talents. Real change. Happening now. Because one person knocked on a door, and one person opened it. If this story moved you, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories of hidden excellence. Comment below with the hashtag #ISeeYou and the name of someone you're going to notice this week. Let's build a movement. One conversation, one name, one person at a time. Remember this. Talent was never hiding. We just weren't looking.